ॐ नमो नारायणाय। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ श्री गणेशाय नमः। ॐ श्री सरस्वत्यै नमः। ॐ श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। ॐ समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। ॐ सच्चिदानन्दरूपाय विश्वोत्पत्त्यादिहेतवे तापत्रयविनाशाय श्रीकृष्णाय वयं नुमः। ॐ सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां। हरिः ओम्। Suprabhatam. We all are studying Upadeshasara, a text composed by Sri Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi Ji. In our last session, we have seen what is actually mean by destruction, because in Vedantic understanding, concept should be very clear. What is a destruction? So, as we have seen, the destruction of ahankara, the ego, is not something like that of the destruction of any object, but it is only that wrong notion which we are carrying, because of which there is a feeling of limitedness, because of which there is a feeling of limitedness. This limitedness, this wrong notion is falsified by a right thinking, by stepwise going and asking one question, which is called as enquiry. The moment you enquire, that ahankara disappears. That means it does not go anywhere. What is that? It is called as badhita. In Sanskrit, called as badhita. So, what is called as badhita ahankara? Falsification of that ego. What is called as falsification? Now, example. If somebody is telling lie, but you do not know that this is a lie, because you do not know the truth. The moment you know the truth, what happens? That lie which a person has said or person has told to you is falsified. Why? Because after that it has no meaning. It has no meaning. Similarly, knowing the nature of this ego, one must understand this ego, there is nothing as an entity called as ego. There is nothing called as entity as an ego. It is only a wrong notion. It is only a wrong notion. So if there is a wrong notion, what activity we have to do? There is no activity required at all. So it is only knowing that it is false. So we have seen yesterday very clearly that how this limitedness is to be completely eradicated, completely removed from our, should be removed from our mind. So we took an example of a pot and a pot space. From that example, we have understood that how conditioning creates so much of so-called as name, shape, size and its transaction. So that space which is infinite, that space which is vast, got conditioned by the pot, and therefore it is just a notion which is developed that this space has got conditioned. Space can never get conditioned. Never. It is impossible. So one must be very clear about it. Whatever the pot space is there, and because of that the name, shape, size and the transactional so-called as capacity of it carrying water is just because of its conditioning. But even when it was appearing to be conditioned, it was absolutely free, and that time also there was no conditioning. Now if you can understand this important aspect, you have got it. You have just got it. Now here Bhagwan Ramana Maharshi ji ends this beautiful topic with a very important aspect called as Jiva Brahma Aikya. And then afterwards in this text he is going to tell about the sadhana. So let us first chant verses from 17 to 20. Manasam tu kim margane krute naiva manasam marga arjavat vrittayastvaham vrittimashritaha vrittayo mano vidyaham manah ahamayam kuto bhavati chinvatah aipatatyaham nija vicharanam ahaminashabhajahamaham taya spuratirutsvayam paramapurna sat. So paramapurna sat spurati, that complete absolute consciousness shines forth. How? After the destruction of the ego. Now Bhagwan Ramana Maharshi takes one step ahead and makes it final statement. What is that? Verse number 21. Idamaham pada bhikkyamanvaham idamaham pada bhikkyamanvaham ahamilinake playala satyaya ahamilinake playaya satyaya. Let us first go through the word meaning, that's called as free flow translation. Idam the first word, idam. What it indicates? The idam is this self. Aham padam abhikhyam. Aham pada abhikhyam. Abhikhyam is indicated. Pada is a word. Then which is indicated by a word? Which word? Aham. So it is indicated by the word aham. Anu aham. Anu means to follow. That means anu aham, following the merger of the individual I. What happens? Ahami leenake. When total I also api merges. What remains? Alaya satyaya. Alaya. Laya means that which goes into absorption. But which is this satta? Alayaha. There is never a laya of this satta. Which is this satta? Purna sat. Swayam purna sat. So that satta only remains. Now you will understand. Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi has shown us a very beautiful picture. He says, do you know, on this screen now there are 3 I. Swamiji, say it again. 3 I. Okay, let me just tell you one I. The first I, that which is called as individual I, is equal to ego. Then we have seen this individual I, aham, satta, is just a adhyasa. Is a adhyasa. And what is the adhisthana? Adhisthana is also aham satta. But this aham satta, which is called as illusory satta, which is an individual ego, which is impermanent. But the adhisthana, the substratum of it is permanent, it is changeless, and that is Purna Sat. Then what is this third eye? So Bhagavan says, third eye is a total eye. What is called as total eye? Ishvara. Now please understand, this is a very important aspect. Ishvara is one eye. Individual I, that is called as ahankara, ego, is I, and the substratum of both is one I, which is called as Purna Sat. Okay, let me now do an analysis and you be firm on this right understanding of Vedantic concept. The first I is called as I as an individual, which is called as in Vedanta Vyashti. Vyashti. Vyashti means individual. Individual satta. Like we see in this session, there are so many individuals. So one individual. So we say how many people were there? So one, and so many. So one person is called as individual. So that's called as Vyashti. Then second, total I is called as Samashti. Total I is called as Samashti. So that which is called as Ishvara. First I, individual I, is also called as Jiva Atma. First I is also called as Jiva Atma and Ishvara. That is the total I. Now, this whatever actually a common man's life means, a play of individual I. Please note it. A common man's life is nothing but a game of individual I. Game of individual I. What is called as game? It is all sort of It is all sort of magic, you can understand, or a spell created by the individual I, that is called as ahankara. Amma, I will give you a time. Let me just complete this important aspect. Okay, so second important point is the Ishvara. Ishvara is total I. So when there is an individual I, there cannot be an individual without the total. This is a simple concept. How to understand? If you say, I have an what you call is, I have a water tank in my house. That is my tank. So now you have to understand, this tank of yours which has a water, which is individual tank, has to connect to the total source of water. Otherwise you cannot have this individual tank at all, because water should come from the total source. Yes, now you will understand, there is called as gross body as an individual body. Now I am just clearing Vedantic concept here, now please note it. Individual body, gross body. Okay, so if there is a gross individual body, there is called as total gross body. Yes, this is called as Virat. In Vedantic concept, in Vedantic terminology, it is called as Virat. What is called as Virat? Total gross body. Okay, then comes individual mind. Individual mind means subtle body. Then called as total mind, which is called as Hiranyagarbha. See, now there is an individual, so there is a total. So one must understand, when there is an individual, there is a total. So from different angle, this Hiranyagarbha itself called as Ishvara. I am not going to go into details of that terminologies. Okay, now what is happening? Ishvara is also having Upadhi and Jivatma is also having Upadhi. Upadhi means conditional adjunct. Both are having Upadhi. The Upadhi of this Jiva is ignorance. Upadhi of the Jiva is ignorance, and Upadhi of the Ishvara is Maya. Okay, so this Ishvara is completely free, though it has a conditioning because of this Maya, but Ishvara uses this Maya as a tool. But in individual case, the ignorance the ignorance plays a game in the life of a person called as individual. So there the individual is not free because it is under complete spell of ignorance. It cannot use as a tool because of its own conditioning. Because of its own conditioning. So what is the result of conditioning? Continuous feeling of incompleteness. Feeling of incompleteness is the result of conditioning. So when a person grows, please understand now, when a person grows and realizes the self, what happens? This incompleteness completely gets destroyed. Now hope you understand what is called as destruction. Please don't imagine, oh my God, in mind there is something called as an object sitting like an incompleteness. No, there is nothing called as. It is just a notion which is eradicated and which is taken up by a completeness. Okay. So this individual which is under a complete spell of ignorance is not free, whereas Ishvara, though it has a conditioning, but this power of Maya, it is under his control. This is a difference. Okay. Now please understand two again important points. I am going to explain Jiva and Ishvara again little elaborately. How Jiva and Ishvara are two different entities, but they have one important similarity. Okay. Now first the difference. Ishvara is almighty. Ishvara is almighty. That means omnipotent. Almighty means omnipotent. And here there is a power in individual case, but it is Alpa Shakti. Whereas in Ishvara it is Sarva Shaktiman. So therefore Ishvara, one who is Sarva Shaktiman, only can control the universe and not an individual. See, individual is so much so bound, it cannot control its own life. Just imagine. There are people, they says, my God, so many things happening in my life beyond my control. Yes or no? Beyond individual's control. Nothing is in control. But the whole world, the whole universe is in the control of the Ishvara. So, Alpa Shakti and Sarva Shaktiman. Second, when Upadhi is considered, then there is called as knowledge. So, that knowledge is there with the individual, that is called as Jiva Atma, but it is called as Alpa Jnana. But with Ishvara, it is Sarvajna, called as omniscient. Ishvara has a knowledge of everything in this world. Okay. Whereas the individual has a knowledge which is called as limited knowledge. Limited knowledge. Our knowledge is very limited because our Upadhi is limited. Because of our Upadhi. Upadhi is what? That which is called as an equipment, called as instrument. You can understand in this way. Third important aspect, this individual and the Upadhi which is there is so limited, so it is here but not there. But Ishvara is so vast, is so big, it is everywhere. It is everywhere, Sarvatra. So, that also one must understand the difference between this Ishvara Tattva as well as the Tattva which is called as Jiva Atma. This Jiva Atma is conditioned by ignorance and Ishvara which is conditioned by Maya. Now, this is an important aspect. Jiva Atma is a slave. Jiva Atma is a slave, whereas Ishvara is the controller. He is completely free. It is not a slave of anything, even if it has a conditioning called as Maya. This difference one must understand. Must understand. Ishvara is always free. And Jiva Atma, when it is said, because of the conditioning of the ignorance, it is a slave. Slave of what? Now this is an important topic. Slave of what? Our own emotions. Please understand. Slave of our own emotions. How? Every emotion when it comes, this individual understands it to be true. Imagine, little thing happens like if somebody says some bad word to us, example, and then how much importance we give to that. My God, he has insulted me, and so on and so forth. So one emotion and one word can really shake this person to the great extent. Similarly, a one praise, my God, go to the seven clouds, one praise. Now just imagine how, so somebody who is very, very shrewd uses all these techniques to pull and push this person as and when it is required, called as the remote controller is in the hand of shrewd person, and the other person dances on the tune of this remote control of a shrewd person. Why? A slave of one's own emotion. So every emotion, understand what is an emotion. Emotion is a thought. Emotion is a thought. And what is a thought? What is a thought? It is imagination of a mind. It is nothing but an imagination of the mind, because understand, in a dream state, there are no doubt different thoughts are projected on the screen of the mind. But there is nothing as real. It is all imagination, So Vedanta says, please note this, as a dream state is for a short time, so the waking stage is a long dream with a good sufficient long time. Swamiji, please say it again. Okay, please note it. Dream state is what? Dream state is no doubt an imagination. And we all know it's only an illusion. And there is nothing called as reality in it. So, it is for a short time. Similarly, Vedanta and the knowledge of the scriptures say the waking world of an individual is a long dream state. That means, as a dream is illusion, so all the emotion and the experiences of waking world also an illusion. Hope this is clear in your mind. And those who do not understand it give importance to every emotion and gets carried away by the emotion, like the Arjuna of a Mahabharata. The moment he saw Bhishma Acharya, Drona Acharya in front, his whole sort of courage as well as valor vanished in a minute. Just imagine, so strong thought was there to do this battle or to fight out this battle. This determination got completely destroyed just because of the emotional setback. Why? Because he did not understand, is this emotion is true or false, and how to use this mind as a tool to go ahead and do a right thing in life. So let me just clear this. See, mind is a tool. Though it is an illusion, but it's a tool also of what? Of reaching to that state where it stops working with illusion, but it starts working with the scriptural knowledge. Now hope this point is clear to everyone. general or a common people no doubt uses their mind, but it is as because of the past experiences, and the ignorance is the force behind the mind to act. But in case of knowledge as a important aspect, or a person of a knowledge, what is the force behind the mind's action? Knowledge. So what is changed? The substratum is changed. Now the substratum of the mind is knowledge, and then when the person was ignorant, the substratum was illusion. It was all illusion. Now I am just making it more practical. As we have seen, the aham vritti, also the substratum is one and one. But this I am making it more clear, you to understand the mind which works very differently, called as on a illusory level or on a unreal level, is because of its own ignorant conditioning. So this is called as slavery, or this is called as the slave part of the mind. So now we have seen what are the differences between the Jiva Atma and the Ishvara. What is that which is similar? Yes, this is an important aspect. There is one and one similarity, which is called as the nature of both. The Swarupa of both is one and one alone. What is that? The nature of even the Jiva Atma is Satchidananda, and the nature of the Ishvara is also Satchidananda. That means if the nature of Jivatma and Ishvara is one and one, the differences are only because of the conditioning and nothing else. Yes. Now just imagine, when who is conditioned? Only a mind is conditioned. Mind is conditioned. And how the mind is conditioned is because of this ego as an so-called as illusory entity. So the moment you start enquiry, what happens? This I, which is called as individual I, the ego disappears. And that we have seen very clearly how it disappears in a last session. Let me just again give some important aspect of it. Destruction does not mean it is going from one stage or one state to another state. No. There is nothing called as this state and that state. Because if you say a state, before destruction this was a state, and after destruction this was a state. Example, if I have to destroy a piece of wood, and if I burn the wood, it appears that I have destroyed the wood, and then what remains? Ash. So after the destruction of wood piece or a wood block, there is a effect which is called as ash. So there is nothing like this from going from one solid state to another very so-called as different state. There is nothing called as, there is no change of state. First and foremost, have this understanding, there is no change of state. Swamiji, what? If somebody is realized, can you please say, how does he look? Please. How are his eyes? Are they like Krishna? Big lotus eyes? Or then his hair turns to be curly and becomes like a Krishna? No, my dear, no external change at all. No external change. So this is one important aspect. People very much do this mistake. They says, I know who is realized. Then you have to ask, how? Now this person is realized, who sitting in front of me. How do you know? Do you know his face is so bright? You know, this face is so bright. His eyes are sparkling. Oh my God. This is called as ignorance. Let us not first have this understanding called as judgment about anyone in the world who is called as realized and who is called as not realized. Because this concept itself, who takes up, is an ignorant person. Think about a realized person. Would he ever able to try to find out who is realized and who is ignorant? Think. Never. Never. Yes. So, understand this wrong notion. We have to just drop it. Drop it. Drop it forever. Okay. Point is, identity, which is called as the Swarupa, is one and one of a Jiva Atma and a Ishvara, which is called as Sat Chit Ananda. Here is also Sat Chit Ananda. Therefore, one who enquires correctly, who can enquire correctly? Now this is an important aspect. He who is called as Sadhana Chatushtaya Sampanna Adhikari. All four important aspects should be with good amount. Good amount means very strong presence of every aspect of sadhana chatushtaya. What are they? Viveka, Vairagya, Shamadhi Shatka Sampatti, Mumukshutvam cha iti. Now if there is a trace of anywhere, lack of any of this value or this sadhana chatushtaya, then the inquiry becomes weak. So Viveka should be very clear. How? Now just imagine how beautiful it is said. Jantunam narajanma durlabhamata pungstvam tato viprata tasmat vaidika marga dharma parata vidvatvamasmat param atmanatma vivechanam svanubhavo brahmatmana samstitihi mukteno shata janma koti sukritaihi punyairvina labhyate. Muktihi, that which is called as liberation, punyairvina na labhyate. How much punya? Shatakot janma sukruta. Shatakoti. Shata means 100. Koti means crore. 100 crores of life, when you really have the credit which is called as merits, and because of those punya karmas, you are now ready for the complete freedom. This is a very important. Jantunam narajanma durlabha. One who understands this life of human being is extremely rare, and I don't want to spend a single moment in any of the useless activity which will take me away from myself. Swamiji, this is too much. You cannot say like that. Give us some space. We have weddings in our so-called as life. Life means in family. We have to go there. Okay. Take your space. We are not there to condition your space like a pot space. See, this is how it is. What? Durlabhata, which is called as the rare of the rareness of this Manushya Janma. One who understands what he does, his life is focused. He never gets distracted by pinpricks of the life. Where Bhagavan says Tan titikshasva Bharata. Please understand this word. This message of Bhagavan. In Bhagavad Gita, he gives a message to Arjuna. Arjuna, develop titiksha. Now this is what is a Shamadhi Shatka Sampatti, one value. Titiksha. Shama, Dama, Uparama, Titiksha. Shraddha, Samadhanam. Now titiksha is that. We have a complaining nature. What is our complaining nature? The first and foremost, we don't accept what I am today is because of me, myself. This acceptance is not there in n number of common people. So what do? My life is ruined because this person came in my life. Very good. You know, this situation really gave me such a big jolt that I got into depression. Very good. The situation was bad and I am complaining because of the situation was bad. Such person who is complaining continuously cannot be a suitable and a fit person for realization. So yesterday we have seen Samadukha Sukha. Such a person alone, what? Fit. Amrutasya kalpate. Please understand. If I have to realize, I have to have so much of titiksha. What is the effect of correct titiksha? Zero complaint. No complaint about anything and about anyone. This is a very important aspect of a sadhaka. Such person only can go ahead in the spiritual path, mostly in the path of knowledge. Okay, the second important aspect is Vivek and Vairagya. Vivek is such subtle point. Knowledge when comes, you have to develop your capacity of discrimination. It does not come as a gift. Please understand. Nobody can give you a gift of discrimination. It is not possible. Every moment, like a lamp in your hand, if you keep having a light everywhere and you can see all the nook and corner and find out all the things which are hiding behind whatever, that's the way that if your discrimination is powerful, no negative thought can hide in your mind. Please note it. If your discrimination is very strong, no negative thought can hide in your mind anywhere. That's the quality of discrimination. It catches, it gives one hammer to that negativity and throws out of your mind. Vairagya. How is Vairagya? It has no funny, fancy idea to become happy here or anywhere else. Oh, you don't want to become happy? No, I don't want to become happy by any support. That's the point. Because of someone, I will happy. Because of some sort of padartha or object, I will be happy. This wrong notion is not there in this person. So it does not have this sort of imagination or wrong notion that I have to be happy in this world by using some object of the world or the person or so on. Or if not in this world, or I have to go to the Svarga, heaven, and then I have to be happy there. No, no such idea at all. Then what? Shama, Dama. That means mind control and Indriya control, both. And we have seen what is called as control. That means reducing your likes and dislikes to the great extent. Then comes Uparama, called as one who is effortlessly withdrawn. Now this is a beautiful state of mind. It is not having any efforts. It's not running away from anything. But it has dropped so effortlessly. How? Like a leaf of the tree falls down effortlessly. And that tree is not so called a trust. Never they have a stress of this falling of leaves, and neither the leaf have any bad feeling that why did my tree leave me? No such feeling at all. So such is called as the Vairagya. Beautiful Vairagya. That's the point, and that's called as the Vairagya, which gives a very strong foundation for both the mind and Indriya Nigraha, which is called as then Uparama. Titiksha we have seen. Then comes Shraddha. Shraddha is understood very differently. He says, no, I have a Shraddha. Of Shraddha of what? Shraddha of a scripture. Complete faith on the scripture. And one who is walking on the path of scripture and telling about the scripture, complete faith on him too. So, Shastreshu Guru Vakyeshu Sampurna Vishwasa iti Shraddha. The moment our Shraddha reduces, the trouble starts in our sadhana. I'll tell you. It is a direct equation. If you say, oh my God, this person is like this, and if that person happens to be your guru, then your sadhana is, have I gone absolutely in a different, very bad track. Samadhanam, one-pointedness about the supreme goal. And that's how it develops a mumukshutvam, to go away or to remove all the shackles of this bondage. And what it is? Nothing but a wrong notion created by this mind. So, if it is a wrong notion and that's the only bondage, it only can be removed. Chintavaha. That means contemplate. Nija vicharanam. Only two things Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi said. You have to develop a very strong contemplative mind. And you have to start an enquiry. That enquiry will lead you to the first destruction of the ego. And the moment the individual I is destroyed, so the total I merges into that alaya satta. That satta, that reality which is changeless. And there is the direct message that the realization is not something which is called as external, or it is not because of any object support as a support, or not because of any gift given by somebody. It is a clarity of one's own knowledge and a right enquiry into the illusory entity called as ego. And that's how the person of knowledge drops it and removes all shackles of bondage and lives a life of complete freedom, absolute reality. Let us focus ourselves by keeping this equipment quiet. Take a posture where your body will remain quiet and does not disturb you, does not create any discomfort. Let your back be straight. Let your neck be straight. Let your facial muscles to be relaxed. Eyes closed. Mind is focused now and connected to the thoughts of today's session, where we have discussed how this individual I, if by inquiry gets completely dissolved, similarly the total I also merges with the absolute reality. That absolute reality which is changeless. That absolute reality is not somewhere above the clouds. That absolute reality which is changeless, that I am. All the changes which are happening is on my substratum, which is changeless. The dance of the mind is also possible because of my changeless reality. In case of ignorant person, the mind creates so much of illusion that this individual person only understands illusion to be the reality. Therefore, in his or her life, all emotion creates a havoc. It gives so much of agitation. It is beyond the control of his intellectual understanding. This is called as individual I. And this individual I is nothing but ahankar. Now when there is an individual I, so everything that which is in limited case, then there is always a total entity. So all your limited things are coming from the total entity. The individual entity is called as Jivatma. The total entity is called as Ishvara. Jivatma is conditioned by ignorance. Ishvara is conditioned by Maya. Ishvara uses this Maya as a tool, but this Jivatma is a slave of this ignorance. Therefore, there is a constant agitation in the mind, and never the mind remains peaceful for a long time. So we have seen what are the differences between the Jivatma and the Ishvara. They are all because of the conditional adjunct called as Upadhi. Jiva has limited capacity because of limited Upadhi. But Ishvara, who has a very powerful conditional adjunct. Therefore, everything is unlimited. Power, Shakti is unlimited. Jnana, knowledge is unlimited. Presence of its own is infinite. It is present everywhere. What? This tattva which is called as Ishvara. But Jivatma, which is present in one place, cannot be same time on some other place. We have seen what is the identity, what is the identical thing in both of them. That is a Swarupa Avastha. Swarupa of Jivatma and the Swarupa of Ishvara is one and the same. What is that? Sat Chit Anand. Therefore, by right inquiry, who realizes one's own real nature, by growing above the limitedness of this adjunct, it's only growing above the limitedness where you falsify the illusory status of ahankar. The moment you falsify the individual I, the total I is also merging into the same true changeless reality. And now there are no three, but there is only one. This one is a real entity, is a real self, is a changeless, conscious Ananda Swarupa. That I am. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Have a gratitude towards that Almighty Ishvara who has given us this knowledge and a beautiful moments in this present time. Have a gratitude to one and all around you, who all are responsible for what we are today. Let us bow down to Pujya Gurudev. Because of him, we could understand the reality of the life. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ओम शांति शांति शांति। हरि ओम। श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम।
ॐ नमो नारायणाय।